Hello everyone, let us now discuss today's LeetCode POTD problem, maximum absolute sum of any subarray. So, if I give you the question explanation, what is given? We are given with a nums array which also contains negative numbers. And what we need to return? We need to return a subarray sum. But this should be maximum. So, a maximum subarray sum which should be taken absolute value. So whenever you get a maximum absolute value subarray sum, imagine you are having -1, 2, -3 here. This is the subarray that you are considering. So now by considering it, the main mistake many of us do is changing this to absolute value. But remember, we are asked for the absolute value for subarray sum, not for the individual values, changing it to absolute value and adding it for subarray sum. So we need to take the subarray sum and change it to its absolute value and get the maximum subarray sum. Now let me take this sum initially. -1 plus 2, 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 minus 3 is -2. So if I take the absolute value, it would be 2. So this is some example about how you get the absolute value, and do not confuse about the subarray's absolute value and the individual elements absolute value. Now let me go through the first example which is given in the question. 1 -3 2 3 -4. So if I take this element and take this subarray by giving two pointers I and j, this would take something like big O of n square time complexity, which won't work for these many constants, like yes, nums dot length would be 1e fine. So nums is 1 -3 2 3 4. Now imagine the question is asked, the first intuition is comes here. Imagine they asked with maximum and also the minimum subarray sum. But why I am asking you this? So a maximum, imagine the maximum is something like 50, and imagine the minimum subarray sum is something like -100. Now here we need to change this to absolute value, then you can get something like 100. So I'll do one thing. I need to get the maximum subarray sum and also the minimum subarray sum, and I'll compare these two, the absolute value of the minimum subarray sum and the maximum subarray sum. I'll return the maximum from these two. So this is the intuition behind this quotient. The first intuition is this. Now the next thing is how can I get the subarray array sum? So how can I get this subarray sum? Now let me do a dry run and let me explain you how can I go through the algorithm, how does the algorithm works. Now I'll take the first element 1. 1 minus 3. 1 minus 3 is -2, right? So if I go through this, it would be something like -3 -2 and 0 here and -1 here. So -2 is greater than -3. So that means this subarray sum is greater than this subarray if you took, so if you took only this subarray, only this element, it would be lesser than the subarray sum which would be taken two elements. Now you will understand why I am comparing this in few seconds. Now minus 2 and 2. If I add minus 2 to 2, it would become like 0, right? Now 2 would be here and 0 is here. Now my thing is, if I take this subarray, I am getting 0. But if I take only this, only the sum of only one element, I would get 2, which is greater than 0. So why should I take 0 when I get 2? So instead of taking 0, a subarray ends here, I take 2. This is how the Kadanes algorithm works. So every YouTube video you will see would only tell you to use the Kadanes algorithm, but they don't explain how does this works or why should we apply this Kadanes algorithm for any question. Now I got 2. Now if I add this 3, should I get a subarray sum which is greater than individual sum? So let me check. If I add 3 to 2, it would be 5, right? Now let me compare the subarray of containing only 3 and the subarray of these two. This is greater. 5 is greater. So no need to change our current subarray sum. So let me move forward, and here I got minus 4. Now till here, if I take the subarray sum, 5 minus 4 is 1, which would be here, and minus 4 would be something like here. Now if I take the subarray of only this, it would be lesser than 1. It would be lesser than 1. So I take the whole subarray. Now, how do I get? I know that I am taking the subarray sum every time. How do I get the maximum sum? So every time I am changing the maximum, sorry, the current subarray sum. I'll check the maximum sum till there. Now, I also want the minimum subarray sum, right? So let me go through the minimum subarray sum now. 1. Here I have 1. Now 1 minus 3 is minus 2. Now here comes the question. As I said, if this is maximum, then I go to the subarray. But here, what is the minimum? I need to go to that. Minus 3 would come here and minus 2 would come here. So taking these two would give me a sum of minus 2 which is greater. So but taking only this element which is minus 3 would give me a subarray sum which is minimum. So I am asking, or I'm going for the minimum one. So it would be minus 3 here. So I am only taking this sub array. Now let me go to the next element which is 2. Now if I add 2 to minus 3, uh, let me say what happens. 2 minus 3 is minus 1. But 2, if I take individual, it would be something greater than minus 1. So taking individually won't give me a correct answer. So I would take the sub array sum till now minus 1. So I am taking this from here to here, 2 minus 3 minus 1. Now, so if I take 3 and add it to minus 1, it would become 3 minus 1, which is 2. Now, 2 is lesser than 3. So taking individually this 3 would give me greater value, but I want the minimum value. So I consider this sub array till now. Now let me go through minus 4 and add it. 2 minus 4 is minus 2. Minus 2 would come here and minus 4 would come here. So instead of taking minus 2, this whole, if I only take minus 4, this would be the minimum. So till here I take only this subarray which is minimum, that is minus 4. Till now I have took this subarray, and till now I have took this subarray. Now what is the minimum from all? This is minus 4. If I take the absolute value, it would be 4. And by considering these two, 5 and 4, the maximum from these two would be 5. If I go through the code, current sum is maximum of nums I am iterating from 1. So maximum will be maxi. I am taking the maxi and also the minimum value. So maximum of nums I and current sum plus nums I. That means if I add nums I, will I get maximum sum, or by taking only the current nums I? So I'll go through and check it, and every time I get the current sum, I'll change my maxi value. So current sum is nums of 0 again, and mini is minimum of minimum, mini comma current sum. And I do the same for minimum value, and I am comparing this and returning here itself. If you like this video, do share it to your friends and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.